Blog writing, best practices for readership. Why blog writing still wins in B2B. If you've been around B2B sales for more than a quarter, you've heard the same refrain. We should do more with the blog. The real translation is simpler. We're investing in content, but it's not clearly helping us create pipeline. In a buying environment where prospects do most of their evaluation before they ever reply to an SDR, blog writing is no longer optional. The competitive baseline has moved. In Content Marketing Institute's 2024 research, 94% of B2B content marketers say they create short articles or posts, and 79% say blogs are a primary distribution channel. If you're not publishing consistently, you're not just behind on content, you're underrepresented in the places buyers research vendors. The good news is that readership is controllable when you write with intention. Companies with active blogs generate about 67% more leads than those without, which is why we treat strong blog content as a practical growth asset, not a branding project. The goal of this guide is to make your posts easier to read, easier to rank, and easier for sales teams to use. Readership is a sales problem, not a marketing KPI. A blog with no readership is basically an internal newsletter with a URL. That's why we frame blog performance in sales terms: credibility, conversion, and speed to pipeline. When your site content answers questions faster than your competitors do, your outbound touches land warmer and your inbound conversations start further down the field. The "blogs are dead" narrative doesn't hold up in B2B data. 76% of B2B marketers say content marketing helps generate demand and leads, and HubSpot reports 65% of marketers work at companies that maintain a blog, while 93% say blogging is important or very important. Buyers still use blog content as a fast trust filter, especially in crowded categories. This matters even more if you're selling services like sales outsourcing, an outsourced sales team, or operating as a B2B sales agency where prospects have high perceived risk. A clear post that explains your approach, results, and trade-offs can do what a cold email can't: reassure a skeptical buyer before you ask for a meeting. In practice, the blog becomes a silent SDR that educates 24/7 while your reps focus on live conversations. Write for one ICP and one buying stage. The fastest way to lose readers is to write for everyone. In B2B, your real audience is a buying committee with different anxieties. The champion wants a fix, the economic buyer wants ROI, and the technical gatekeeper wants proof it won't break their stack. If you don't pick a primary reader, your post becomes vague, and vague content gets skimmed and abandoned. We recommend assigning each post a single role times stage focus before you draft a word. A problem-aware VP of sales needs clarity and language for the pain, while a solution-aware RevOps leader wants process, integrations, and measurable outcomes. When you match the post to a stage, you also make it easier for SDRs to share it at the right moment, instead of sending random links that don't move the conversation. Your best topic engine is already inside your CRM and call recordings. Pull recurring objections from notes and transcripts, then write posts that answer those objections with examples, benchmarks, and decision criteria. Done well, your blog stops being content and starts functioning as sales enablement that your sales development agency, internal SDRs, or hired SDRs can use immediately. Structure posts for scanners and search. Most B2B readers don't read, they scan. Your job is to make the scan feel productive by telegraphing the promise, the path, and the payoff. That means clear section headings, short paragraphs, and direct language that gets to the point without burying the lead. Length is part of readability, and thin content quietly kills both reach and authority. One benchmark many teams use is that the average Google first page result is around 1,447 words, and data shows short posts, 300 to 900 words attract 21% less traffic and 75% fewer backlinks than 900 to 1200 word articles. For most B2B topics, you don't need fluff, but you do need enough depth to be useful and link-worthy. The intro is where most drafts fail, so we use a simple 3-second test. Name the situation in the first sentence, make the cost of inaction obvious in the next, and then state exactly what the reader will be able to do by the end. If you can't do that cleanly, the rest of the post won't save you. A B2B blog post should earn its keep. It should rank, teach, and make it easier for sales to start a real conversation. Bake SEO and distribution into the draft. Most teams treat distribution as an afterthought, which is why publish feels like the finish line instead of the starting gun. We treat distribution as part of writing because the way you structure a post determines how it will be shared in email, LinkedIn, and Outbound sequences. If your post can't be summarized into a clear one-sentence hook, it won't travel. SEO doesn't mean stuffing keywords, it means matching intent. If you're writing for a buyer evaluating a cold calling agency or cold calling services, answer what they actually want to know. Expected ramp time, what good looks like, common failure points, and what to ask on a discovery call. You'll naturally earn relevance for terms like B2B cold calling services, outbound sales agency, and cold email agency when the content is specific and decision-oriented. A common mistake is writing a solid post and then sharing it once on company LinkedIn and calling it a day. Instead, build a repeatable cadence, a short excerpt for LinkedIn, an internal enablement snippet for SDRs, and a customer-facing email that points to a concrete takeaway. When blogging is integrated into your distribution motion, you get compounding returns instead of one-time spikes. Turn posts into outbound ammo for SDRs. Most companies treat their blog and their outbound program like separate worlds. At SalesHive, we run them as one system because we've seen the difference between random corporate blog and buyer-focused content that SDRs can actually use. When content is aligned to a persona and a stage, it becomes a credibility booster that makes cold outreach feel relevant instead of interruptive. In our campaigns, SDRs, US-based and Philippines-based, regularly weave client posts into sequences as conversation starters. With our AI-powered personalization engine, eMod, we can reference a specific pain and offer a helpful breakdown, which is exactly what turns a cold email into a welcomed one. This approach works particularly well for categories like sales outsourcing, where prospects want proof you understand the operational realities, not just a polished pitch. If you want your blog to support an outsourced sales team, write posts that map to actual SDR dialogue. Concrete outbound breakdowns, ROI narratives, objection handling frameworks, and implementation how-tos consistently perform because they reduce perceived risk and give readers language for internal buy-in. That's how your blog becomes usable by cold callers and reps in the moments that matter. Measure what sales cares about. Page views are not worthless, but they're incomplete. A post can get traffic and still fail if it doesn't influence meetings, opportunities, or conversion rates. The better question is, did this content change buyer behavior in a way we can see in the funnel? One practical approach is to track sales-adjacent signals, sourced and assisted opportunities, meeting conversion rates when SDRs share a post, and reply rates tied to specific content links. When you run outreach through a sales development agency or internal SDR team, you can also compare performance of sequences with a helpful article versus sequences that lead with a generic pitch. Over time, this turns content measurement into optimization, not reporting theater. ROI trends suggest the upside is growing when teams execute well. HubSpot reports 50% of marketers at companies with blogs saw higher blogging ROI in 2024 versus 2023, which aligns with what we see in Outbound. Better content makes outreach more believable and follow-ups more useful. The mistake to avoid is judging a post too early. The best sales enablement posts often accrue value as they're reused across deals for months. Build a repeatable blogging system that compounds. Readership isn't a one-off win. It's the output of a consistent system. The companies that win with blogging don't rely on inspiration. They rely on process. Topic selection tied to objections, drafts built around intent, and distribution baked into the workflow. That's how you avoid the common pattern of publishing in bursts and then going silent. A strong next step is to align your content calendar with your pipeline goals. If you sell pay-per-appointment lead generation or operate among cold calling companies, your calendar should reflect what prospects evaluate: quality control, targeting, compliance posture, and what good meetings look like. When your blog mirrors your sales motion, it becomes a library your team can pull from without reinventing the wheel. At SalesHive, we've booked 100,000 plus meetings for 1,500 plus clients, and one pattern is consistent. The easiest outbound programs to scale are the ones backed by clear, buyer-centric content. You don't need a massive publishing machine, but you do need discipline and a feedback loop between marketing and sales. When you keep that loop tight, your blog becomes one of your cheapest and most reliable growth levers.